With the amount of flags that are used around the world to represent countries, states, counties, and whatever else needs that coloured rectangle treatment, you may notice that some of those flags share a similarity or two, or some that look so damn familiar you'd think you're intoxicated because you're seeing double. Take a look at Romania and Chad for example. Or is it Chad and Romania? They do look the same, don't they? But you can see the colour on Chad's flags are just that slightly bit darker when compared to Romania's. The blue is much more noticeable compared to the yellow or red. Even with this barely visible difference and the sudden realisation that they both are extremely familiar, because you probably do a lot more useful things with your life instead of staring at flags, how come the two are almost identical, and how do Chad and Romania feel about this copycat situation? Well, let's kick things off first with Romania, who in fact came up with the flag's tricolour, but where we begin, Romania isn't Romania. Where this story begins, it was Wallachia and Moldavia. The use of the tricolour has been seen on two occasions in Wallachia, first time being in 1821 during the Wallachian Uprising, and a second time in 1834 on the Wallachians' naval ensign. These were just the first instances of the tricolours being seen, nothing special for now. It wasn't until 1848 when the tricolour was seen with a major role, being a key symbol for the revolutions going down in both Wallachia and Moldavia. The tricolours were seen arranged like this, horizontal lines of blue, yellow and red, at least on the front of the revolution, because over in Paris, some Romanian students took inspiration from the French flag, rotating the revolution flag to mimic the French flag in a way to support the revolutionary government, and as a symbol for unifying both the Wallachian and Moldavian brothers. Back to the revolution flag, it also had a phrase slapped onto it which read "Justice and Fraternity," which were just the meanings behind the yellow and the red used on the revolutionary flag. Even though the revolutions got stomped out of the two states, it never stopped the indomitable spirit of unifying Wallachia and Moldavia into one state. And in 1859, thanks to some of that monarchist magic, this guy became the ruler of both Moldavia and Wallachia, and the two unified, creating the United Principalities of Moldavia and Wallachia, which would soon be called Romania. They chose to adopt the new flag to look just like the revolutionary flag, without the Justice and Fraternity written on it. It got flipped around in 1862 when the country changed its name to a more shortened Romanian United Principalities, but they were still uncertain on how the stripes on the flag should go until they rotated it again in 1866, hitting the nail on the head this time, giving us the blue, yellow and red tricolour that is seen today. The flag's perfection was left untouched until 1948, when the Soviets came along to do what they did best and manipulated its neighbours to follow suit with their communist ways, Romania included. The new era dawned on them, and this meant new changes were coming. Big changes. Anything that was seen as part of the old Kingdom of Romania was now illegal, so everything now must be changed to meet the standards of their new communist overlords. That includes the flag, which didn't change much, but it added the coat of arms onto the centre of the flag, creating this new flag for Romania for its time as a People's Republic. And now that Romania's turned left, that means we're now in 1959, and now it's time to turn south and talk about Chad. At this time, Chad was on the road to independence, and one of the countless problems that Chad had on the way there was the lack of a local flag. They never bothered with one, and only ever used the French one until the time came that they needed to stop freeloading off another flag and make one themselves. They came up with a drafted flag that consisted of the colours green, yellow and red, in reference to the colours of Pan-Africanism. But there's a problem. Mali, or the Mali Federation 2 countries over, beat them to it, and already chose these colours for its flag. Sure, there's a couple others down here that choose to go for those colours, but at least they all look different and unique when compared to each other. So now Chad's got to fix up the flag to avoid embarrassment and looking unoriginal, and chose to replace the green for the blue, and this got made into the official flag in 1959, becoming the national flag when it got independence in 1960, with the symbolism of the flag being dubbed as "for the blue skies and hope, for the deserts and the sun, and for the bloodshed on the way to independence." I don't know about any bloodshed on the way to it, but there was a shitload of it straight after they got independence. So now at this point, we can compare the flags of Romania and Chad, and we can see the two are distinguishable. It'd stay that way for 29 years, until Romania overthrew their government and reverted the flag back to its pre-socialist one. Now there's a tough time for people telling the two apart, and Chad, of all people, isn't happy about it. Chad feels that Romania copied them, and Romania feels that Chad copied them. In defense of the two, Romania created their flag before Chad was even conceived, and Chad created their flag at a time it was different to Romania's. But in the grand scheme of pointing the finger at each other for copying the other, Chad went a little further and whined about it to the United Nations to try and get them on their side against Romania for being a flag plagiariser. To which Romania responded by telling Chad to fuck off with that complaint, and they were not going to back down over something that they created first. Damn, who'd have thought Romania would be the Chad in this situation? But despite their differences and aggressions against each other, it's safe to say that we can all agree on who really caused this mishap with the flags: France. At least it was only those two, and no other country who also got inspired by the French for their flag too, and follows the same tricolour. Oh well, but anyway, that's all for this one. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.